Y'all ready to be history?
Get started.
Welcome.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
To the Pro Audio Suite.
These guys are professional. They're motivated.
Thanks to TriBooth, the best vocal booth for home or on-the-road voice recording. Introducing Robert Marshall from Source Elements and Someone Audio Post, Chicago. Darren Robbo Robertson from Voodoo Radio Imaging, Sydney. Tech to the VO stars, George the Tech Whittam from LA. And me, Andrew Peters, voiceover talent and home studio guy.
Line up, ladies!
Here we go.
And welcome to another Pro Audio Suite. Thanks to TriBooth. Don't forget the code PAP200 to get $200 off of your purchase of your TriBooth. Now we're talking about self-leveling in a preamp or interface. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? George?
It depends on what kind of self-leveling, I think. So right now that I'm aware of, there are two audio interfaces. One of them is on my desk in my studio. I'm not in it right now. Sorry, I'm at David Kay's studio. But one of them is the Yellowtec Puc, that's Puc2 LEA, LEA. LEA is like their cute word for automatic level. And you're thinking, no, not AGC, right? Automatic gain control. We all know how bad that is, right? The classic AGC, which is in every video camera, right? A loud sound happens, the sound ducks down. It takes 10 to 20 seconds to recover, That's really bad, right? This concept is way more advanced, and it's basically monitoring the input signal and adjusting digitally, like with a VCA, I guess, the actual preamp's gain. So it will actually adjust the preamp gain within a millisecond or two if you're getting into clipping. But what's interesting about it is really not that it does this, which is cool. It's really about how you set up the ballistics of it, or the how do you determine what is the right amount to adjust the gain by, right? Should it be able to only turn it down by 5 dB, 10 dB, or should it have the ability to really take over your gain and have pretty dramatic swings of gain? Because you can completely tweak it. You can say, don't turn up or don't turn down the gain or up the gain by a range of more than 20, for example, dB. Would that kind of a product make an engineer's job a real nightmare when the input signal coming to the engineer is not consistent?
I have to take a road trip in my Tesla. I'm going to go sleep, and I'm going to show up in California.
Is this an analogy you're making?
It might be.
An engineering analogy?
I'm not sure it's a great idea until the AI gets caught up with this situation. I think it sounds a lot like a compressor that's just attached to the gain knob on the preamp instead of the output of a gain stage of a compressor. So congratulations.
It certainly does.
Yeah.
When I explain it, it sounds like just that, right?
Yep.
And they're not the first to do that. I think Langevin had
Langevin, yep.
Langevin had something like that, right? That adjusts the pre-gain.
Well, and also Aphex, who's now Rode.
Oh, and Aphex, yeah. We talked about that a couple weeks ago.
And they have a circuit called Mic LEA, which somehow, and that's like instantaneous, they say. It's not like a millisecond later. Like Mic LEA is actually patented.
Well, I might be
unique.
misrepresenting it. It could be microseconds. I know it's fast. I know it's really fast. But I have one on my desk, and so time will tell. I will put it into play, and I'll use it on an episode and give audio to Robbo and let him deal with it and see what he thinks.
Because Robbo loves that.
Right. Like chances are, if you set your gain close enough, you're not going to need to mess with it. So why have this thing mess with it?
So there's another product that lets you set gain automatically in a very different way. And I think this might be really the right way to have auto gain. And that is the Audient Evo 4 and 8. Yep. What they've done is they just have the unit listen to you for a period of time.
Yes.
Analyze the peak level and go, all right, whatever that peak is, we'll set the gain so that is peaking at minus 12.
Yeah, and then we're going to leave it alone.
And we're going to leave it alone.
Yeah.
So
it's
going to analyze for some time. I think it listens for, is it 20 or 30 seconds? A decent amount of time. Now, granted, it can still get you in trouble if your test level is at this level and your performance level is at this level.
Which is what everyone
There's
does
still-
to every engineer. Can you give me okay, go as loud as you're going to go. Okay.
Right.
And then it's like, bah! And then they go for
Yeah, you ever sound check a drummer? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So that it still could get you in trouble. But I last time I tested it, I think it was about a 12 dB headroom that it was going to give you, which is pretty healthy.
Yeah.
And we all know, we've talked about it. Robert, you're the first one to really bring the whole concept up of 24-bit recording dynamic range. But
I mean, I didn't bring it up.
it can be
but
so much
to
more.
us, yeah.
Well, I remember a couple years ago, not even 4 years
I
ago.
do remember.
I remember distinctly
Yeah.
being at like Adrenaline Studios in Vegas. Don't ask me why I remember this.
I think
And
I was the
you
only one to
mentioned
put
that.
real numbers on it. The fact that 24-bit has a
Right.
huge amount of headroom and therefore you don't have to go close up to the edge. I
Right.
didn't invent that concept, but I think what
No,
I did
you
at
didn't invent it,
that
but I remember you bringing
podcast
it
is
up.
I put numbers to it, and the number, which I forget when, but I just was like, oh my gosh, look at that, which was literally that you can record at minus 48 on 24-bit, which is pretty much off the meter, and you have the same resolution as 16-bit. That was when I was like, wow. Like, you really don't even need to get close to the top and still have good fidelity on 24-bit.
I mean, this is such a topic that comes up so often. I can't remember the last, who I talked about it last, but the topic of setting levels. I mean, we talk about it on my show VOBS probably monthly. I think 'cause it just comes up all the time. I've really adapted to that concept of 24-bit peak at lower input levels. It can be a little troublesome for people who don't know how to control their monitoring well. So, if they're used to monitoring themselves and their cans, it's tougher to monitor yourself, obviously, at low levels. I mean, you just can't hear yourself well.
Right. Or you get your monitor up and then you connect with people and then they're loud and you're like, because you cranked up your monitor to hear yourself.
It's a tricky thing. I think what would be amazing in terms of DSP being involved in monitoring for the performer or for the engineer would be there to be some way to control your monitor level the same way you can control the digital input. So let's say your gain is averaging with peaks at minus 18, right? Then it could automatically bring up your monitor level and compensate. So you can still have a consistent monitor level.
Yeah.
That could be a pretty cool thing for the non-engineer, right? Because engineers, you guys rely on your output level, your monitor level to be really consistent. Yeah?
Yeah, often. Or you play with it in a few areas, just, you'll check your mix at a really low level so that you're you might check it in a few places within the Fletcher-Munson curve, but
right.
Yeah, like for the most part, if you keep on changing your monitor level or even changing your speakers constantly, you like, where are you?
Your frame of reference is way off, right? That's why all pro audio monitor systems have a dim button that you dim down to a certain level, and you're always back to where you were, right?
Right. You have your setting where it was.
Yeah, because Fletcher-Munson, that Google that Fletcher-Munson curve, because that's the whole concept of how the concept of how the frequency response of your hearing varies with the input level, right?
Right. How loud something is. As things get quieter, you lose bass and treble faster than you lose the mid-range, because your ears are basically designed to hear other humans, and that's where it's most tweaked to hear.
Yeah.
And then as things get louder, those fill in, and that's the same thing as the loudness button on your stereo, which is supposed to give you that curve, even though you're listening quietly.
I got too used to hearing it, then I had it on all the time.
Right, exactly. And then when you turn it up, you're like, wow, I got a subwoofer, but there's no subwoofer.
Yeah. So I mean, in the end, I think it's, if used properly, it could be nice. If used improperly, it will be an engineer's nightmare. And I will have to take some time with the Yellowtec and find what's the best setting. It might only be a dB range of like 5 dB.
Yeah.
Just a nudge, just a little correction. That's it.
My opinion, Audient, right on. Like, basically, like AI engineer to set your level. Like, no problem. Which is not like, come on, it's
So like
the
if you're
logic
doing a
behind it
character
is
read-
not that tough logic. But
but if you're doing a character read, you read through some of the script, you find some of the screamy, crazy parts.
and give it a
you
taste.
set the thing to listen, and then when you're done, you're going to hit record, and you're going to notice, oh my gosh, my levels are awful low.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
But that's how it works.
But the Yellowtec approach, I mean, maybe good for a reporter in the field and someone who's just like, I need something that's going to save me in case like I couldn't get to it and I couldn't fix it. But I don't
honestly,
think
that's clearly like if you know the company, their product line is for broadcasters.
Right.
Like,
but
they
as
first
a VO,
came out with a handheld mic that had this built in, and it was a miracle device. Right, hand it to anybody on the street, any reporter, and you'll get good audio.
And the thing had a recorder built into it too,
and a recorder built in.
Right, but for a VO person, it's like no, there shouldn't be something throughout your session wiggling the gain knob. Like, don't touch it.
I also know actors that will go through and manually level their audio. They do that a lot. People teach them to do this. Go select your peaks and then turn them down 5 to 8 dB. I'm like, really? Why is that a thing?
Well, a lot of engineers, you look at the clip gain feature in Pro Tools, and a lot of engineers are like, oh, I don't have to compress as much because I can just like go and like draw it out right there. And you could do a lot of, like the gray area between automation and compression. Yeah. It's like you can automate the peaks out and now you are the compressor, except you're not working on
It's a control freak's compressor, essentially.
Yes.
Right. It's like, I will do it on my algorithm, not yours.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
So I guess I'm saying it's not bad. I just think for an actor to be doing it routinely, it's such a time-consuming process. Right?
Yeah. But I just worked with an actor today. So I just worked with an actor today, and I had to match something from before, and her sound pretty much matched. It was the same person. There were some differences there, but the level was different. And I was like, something I had to work through. And it'd be cool if I've worked with other VO actors, for instance, over months and months and months, constantly doing new versions of the same commercial for the same client, whatever. And every time I hooked up with that guy, it was the same. I could cut something from 2 years before to 2 years after, and it was like you wouldn't have any clue that.
Which is awesome, right?
Yeah, it's like that's an engineer's
great
dream. Yeah, find that level,
absolutely,
leave it, and maybe if you're doing a wide range of characters and voices, and you need to have like a loud setting and a soft setting, or maybe a loud, a medium, and a soft, but try to have that consistency not only for your own sake. Because then you can set your compressors and rely that the compressors, if you are using compressors, are going to hit in the same way every time. But also, if you're working with somebody else, they can do the same thing. And they can just drop your track into something that they, like they're just doing a patch and changing one word. And they don't have to sit there for 5 minutes and match sounds.
I think in the end, the digital controllable preamp with recallable settings is really handy. Like, it's probably the most useful thing of the universal audio is that I can have presets for them for animation, promo, and trailer or dark evil voice trailer or whatever it is,
right?
And they can just pull those settings up and get repeatable gain. And I think that's probably the most useful thing of all. Is just give people the ability to choose 3 or 4 gain presets and just let them be consistent no matter what it is they're doing. Just
and
have
all
it be
of
the
them
same every time.
And all of them think that the peak is at 10 decibels below what the system can actually handle, and that way you're definitely covered.
Yeah, there's lots of headroom.
At least like 6 decibels. Like just give yourself even when you set, like, don't set your preamp to peak out at 0. Like no, like peak out at -6 at the most, because there will be a peak.
Right.
And on that, Andrew, take us out. Like,
yes,
I have to teach a class.
You do have to go and teach a class, and we. Yes, we're going. Bye. I don't know what to say.
It's our best out ever.
Have fun with that one.
I need food, obviously.
Well, that was fun. Is it over?
The Pro Audio Suite, with thanks to Tribooth. Recorded using Source Connect. Edited by Andrew Peters. And mixed by Voodoo Radio Imaging. With tech support from George the Tech Whittam. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and join in the conversation on our Facebook group. To leave a comment, suggest a topic, or just say g'day, drop us a note at our website, theproaudiosuite.com.